Yes! Grateful Day! I'm live! Welcome to the 36th episode of the Faith Forward Fearlessly podcast with your host, Jenée Hudson, the Uplifter. I empower former and transitioning professionals, entrepreneurs, navigating the complex balances of life, commitments, and growth, guiding them to conquer overwhelm with unwavering integrity, authenticity, and perseverance, all anchored in faith. Today's t-shirt, let's see. Okay, probably can't read all this. I'm going to tell you what it says. So today's shirt says, I am currently unsupervised. I know it freaks me out too, but the possibilities are endless. All right. So what does this shirt mean to me? This shirt represents the fact that for 20 plus years, I have been engaged in business and just, supporting people in the professional world. And now I'm actually supporting people who are just like you and me, entrepreneurs, 9-to-5ers, who are either transitioning professionals or they're still in their 9-to-5s, but maybe they want a business, So with this shirt, I am grateful to have done so and to be able to assist people and to continue to assist other entrepreneurs just like me. Like yourselves. So this is what this shirt means to me. Now, you guys, so excited today, okay? So today's episode is called Consulting with Purpose, Uplifting Strengths and Building Meaningful Relationships with none other than Erika Monaé Lewis, you guys. Man, today we're going to be diving into just the topic that will inspire you to uplift your strengths and to build meaningful relationships that just stand the test of time, right? So we're going to unpack the principles that just turn you into a true motivation of change, all right? And how to create legacy that goes beyond business and just throughout your journey. I like to call things my journey versus even a story, right? So today, I am honored to introduce our esteemed guest, Erika Monaé Lewis. And let me tell you about this phenomenal woman, you guys. Erika Monaé Lewis is the founder and the CEO of the Erika Monaé Group, EMG for short, a coaching and consulting practice focused on human resources, relationship management, learning, and career development, and leadership effectiveness. All right. So Erika is responsible for helping women unlock the potential in their strengths and to leverage network just to secure the bag for the most part, right? And promotion in their career and business. Erika Monaé boasts over a decade, you guys, over a decade and a half of distinguished experience in the realms of HR and organizational development. So demonstrating her expertise just across various industries, which is so amazing, right? As a certified strengths coach and seasoned HR professional, she holds a master's degree in HR and organizational management, like myself, complemented by a bachelor's degree, wow, in accounting. That's a big to-do. So Erika has cultivated a reputation for coaching and mentoring professionals, guiding them to surpass their career objectives just regardless of their backgrounds, right? So despite their backgrounds, their position, or their tenure, which is phenomenal. So leveraging EMG's detailed and crafted 4-step system, she called this navigating your ship, your SHIP. And with SHIP delivered from Essence of Leadership, Erika empowers professionals just to anchor themselves in self-leadership for the most part. So Erika Monaé is also the creator of Networking on Purpose. How phenomenal is that? It's short for NWOP. So NWOP is an intentional, yet unique networking experience where a nonprofit organization is highlighted for the purpose of increasing awareness and engagement, all right, of their mission, just simply while encouraging attendees is what she does to feel just to that philanthropic experience for the most part, all right? Oh my goodness, this is so amazing to have her with us today, you guys. Please join me in the chat to welcome Erika Monaé Lewis. Let me get her on. So excited. Let's see here. There she is. There she is. Let's see. Boom. Let's go. We waiting for her to come in. Woo! So excited. Well, hi.
How are you?
I am fabulous.
You look fabulous.
Thank you. So do you.
Thank you. I was making sure I did this right. So it's been a while since I've done an Instagram live, but to do it with someone else, I'm like, how do I do this?
No worries. I didn't see you in the chat at first, but I was like, oh no, wait a minute. Let me just bring her on in. No worries. I always say champion dust. Yes. So
yes.
Welcome. Everybody's welcoming you in the chat.
Yes, thank you.
Happy to have you. I've already obviously went through so much of what you do and made you sound phenomenal because you are.
Thank you so much.
So with that though, with everything, I pretty much told them everything about you, but is there anything that you want to just mention about yourself as well, or your companies, or how can people contact you as well?
Yes, so people can contact me on social media. They can contact me. I am on Instagram, I am on Facebook, and I'm also on LinkedIn, all under the Erika Monaé Group or Erika Monaé Group. They can also go to my website, which is erikamonaegroup.com. So those are the various ways that you can connect with me as well.
Wonderful. Okay, y'all heard that. And I'm following her already, so if y'all want to go to my page, you can find her there too. So you know what? Let's get started. I'm excited. Yeah. So to guide our discussion, here are some giftful questions. I call them gifts that I'm eager to explore with our esteemed guest, you all, Erika Monaé Lewis. All right. So we're going to start with gift number 1.
Okay.
And that is, what inspired you to start the Erika Monaé Group, and how do you define like consulting with purpose in your work?
Good question. So one, start with kind of what started, the EMG for me. So really what prompted that was really, I was an undergrad and I knew I was going to have my own business. I had no idea though what it would be. Once I got my accounting degree and started working in accounting, actually before I started working in accounting, when I got my first job offer, and was like, hey, this is your job, this is what you're going to do. I was super excited, mainly because I was like, that is what I want to do. I want to be on the other end of the phone call telling people, you got a job, here are the benefits and all that stuff. So I wanted to be in HR with this accounting degree, but I still wanted my own business. So as I navigated my career journey, at first I thought my business was going to be a staffing company, but it evolved over time. And what ended up happening is that my HR experience that I had began to progress. And as it began to progress, I started to see the good, the bad, the ugly, and the great of an organization, just like all HR professionals do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really, really excited at the fact that once I realized that most people spend their majority of their day and the majority of their time at work, I
Mm-hmm.
was really excited to make that a positive experience. And once I was recognizing some of the things that weren't making it a positive experience, I wanted to help change that. And so it went beyond culture. It was more so kind of what can I do to help people feel good in the inside so that when they're working, how can they show up as their authentic selves? How can I help them and coach them up? And I ended up coaching people without even knowing it at work. And so once I started to notice that and it energized me, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. The whole time I thought it was HR, but somebody told me it wasn't and discovered that it wasn't HR. I was actually coaching people. And so when I realized that's what I was doing, I said, I want to do something where I'm coaching leaders, I'm coaching people really on self leadership more than anything. And be able to also use my HR skill set and do some HR consulting as well. But the main focus was around self leadership and really helping leaders understand how to navigate their own ship, as well as being able to show up as their authentic selves so they can actually be able to show their teams how to do the same thing. And then it evolved again into networking and building relationships because I always ask my clients, well, okay, so tell me about your network. How are you networking? How is it working for you? And like everybody was like, I don't do that. Like everybody
Right.
was like, I don't got time for small talk. I don't do this. Like I have no time.
Right.
And I was really like, ooh, why not? Because I got a lot of benefits from networking.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to create a safe space for my clients to be able to network more authentically
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
show up as themselves and not necessarily this job title first. And because that's who we connect with at work are the people. It's
Yeah.
not the job title that we connect with. When we have our work bestie, it's because we connect with the actual human being and not their job title. And so getting away from, all the formalities and just showing up as a human being was really my goal. And so I started an event called Networking on Purpose to make that happen. And so over the last 5 years, I have been learning more, doing more, and educating more on this thing called networking. And the key thing that I hone in on is really value articulation and understanding your strengths. And so once those things come to light, we can do this thing called networking. So,
Oh, great. You guys, I just have to tell you, Erika is so phenomenal because I've known her for many
long
years now.
time. A
and
long time.
and we actually started knowing each other. I was at Vista Marie at the time
Mm-hmm.
and in
Yep.
human resources. And I believe she was at a staffing
And I
agency
was working in
at the
staffing.
time.
Yep.
Yep. And that's all networking. She came to network. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
So
So a
I
long time.
totally, totally relate to the whole wanting to start, same with myself, wanting to start the actual HR company, which I did. And then coming from the what I call the good old boys club, unfortunately for me, but I grew a lot, so
Yes.
I can totally relate to that. And then just wanting to continue assisting others from there. I started with the HR too, just like yourself. I
Mm-hmm.
can totally, totally relate. That
Yep.
is so
Yep.
fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for that. All right, let's get to gift number two. Gift number two. So, how do you help your clients like identify and unlock their unique strengths? And why is this important for like their personal and professional growth?
So I am a certified strength-based coach. So if anyone is familiar with strength finders, with the work that Gallup does, I'm a certified strength-based coach. And so when I came across this assessment, I don't know how many years ago it is at this point, but many years ago, and got the results from my assessment, it was like an eye opener for me. In my HR career, I've had moments where people would ask me, like, well, Erika, what legacy are you leaving? You know, how do people know, you know, how you're contributing to the team and so on and so forth. And I knew the type of value that I was adding was more of the intangibles than the tangibles. So in all of my HR roles, I had roles where they were very, very like focused on the numbers. So if it wasn't something that could be quantified, it was something that like it kind of didn't exist for them, or it didn't really matter to them. If it wasn't really on the P&L, what are we really talking about? So being in those sort of environments and still trying to articulate your value was really, really tough for me. When I got this assessment, it gave me an eye opener to what makes me uniquely me. And when I read it, I was like, this is really true. And it really blew my mind. And so now I have this assessment, I have these results from this assessment, and it gave me a different perspective on how I show up. And then it made me think about how I've been showing up and like, wow, I have been able to do these things. So it gave me a level of awareness about myself that I just really wasn't sitting in. I wasn't sitting in my truth. And once I was able to sit in my truth, it made me more confident. Like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I have to say. And the assessment gives you a set of vocabulary words, essentially. Like, you have an inventory of things for yourself. You have all these data points. And oftentimes when people like to say, well, I like to make, you know, data-driven decisions and all these sort of things, you can do that with this assessment. This is data, just like your resume. Your resume is a summary of the data points of all your experience and all of your education, credentials, etc. So this assessment is giving you it's essentially adding to all of the data points you have. So when I utilize this assessment for my clients and really allow them to sit in it and understand who they are, it allows them the opportunity to reflect and become more self-aware. And self-awareness is so important for not just leaders, just for everybody. Like, we need to do it professionally and personally. So self-awareness is key. And I love this assessment because it's not just an assessment that's like Myers-Briggs or a DISC assessment, because it's not a personality assessment. This is truly understanding what makes you you, and how are those talents that you have that are so innate for you, how are they showing up? And what is it that when you think about it, when like in my coaching sessions, I ask my clients to think about the times that these have shown up for you, where you can really understand how this particular talent theme has been coming up for you in your career and you had no idea. And you have the opportunity to talk to others, be like, how does this show up for me? Like, do you think that I'm competitive by chance? Like, does this show up that way? And so it allows you to have very interesting conversations about yourself with others. So that in itself can be unpacked in so many different ways, but I utilize that assessment as a starting point for my clients to be able to really kind of identify their strengths and really be able to stand in their own truth. Because once you're able to do that and can reflect and sit in how it applies and has applied in your career, or even in your business, you can then confidently articulate the very things that you're able to do and how you're able to do it. And that's the piece that's key that we tend to miss out on when it comes to networking, because with networking, you have the actual transaction piece, and then you actually have the relationship building piece. And most people just focus on the transaction and forget about the relationship building, because there's a point where we need to discover, is there synergy? And that's the whole point. Like, we're trying to see if there's synergy, and if there are opportunities for us to do any business collaboration, partnerships together, then so be it. But the relationship has to be established and nourished. And in order to do that, I have to know what you do, and you have to know what I do. And we have to see what value that brings to us, or maybe somebody else in our network. And so being able to stretch beyond that really helps my clients to act and really move and stand in their truth and their strengths.
Yes, so very important, all of these things. Thank you for sharing those things. So relatable, again, to so many of us have taken those like personality test is what I guess even in HR I used to give to people as well as I took one myself. And the only thing they were able to tell me was, Jenée, hate to tell you this, but you're a perfectionist. And I'm like, hate to tell you this, but I'm unapologetic about it.
Right.
Tell me something I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
And that's so funny because this assessment to me, it's more performance based than it is personality based because you're really understanding like your innate talents, which and it's essentially how you show up, how you actually do the things that you do every day at work. Yeah. So to understand that, to show up like how you perform, you can shift the trajectory of how you're performing at work, how productive you are at work if you really understood what you need to be energized, what you need to do the thing that you do best. So that's what I love about it. Girl, I nerd out about this stuff all the time.
Relate that. So good. So good. All right. Gift number 3.
Okay.
So can you share just some key strategies? Because, you know, people like to take notes down and things. Mm-hmm. So some key strategies for building and maintaining meaningful relationships that can just positively impact one's career, their business, or just being their entrepreneur journey altogether.
Okay. Tips and strategies. I would say first, networking is more about giving than it is receiving. Mm. So if anybody don't take anything from our time together and tuning in, I would say understand the very thing that you are giving before you go to an event asking or having your hand out or looking for someone to give you something and you have nothing to give in return. So that would be the one thing. And I know somebody is like, okay, but what is it that I could give? I have no idea beyond me saying like, oh, you know, I work in sales at this company and this is what I sell. Like, can this product or this service help you, right? But when you take away what you do for a living, which is another reason why it's important to know your strengths, you have to understand the talent that you're able to bring because you can bring that talent to any organization, to any particular role. It makes you you. So when you think about your time that you're able to also give, whether you are mentoring someone, whether it's someone who is maybe at a different level or lower level in the organization than you and you're helping them come up the ranks. So volunteering your time is another way that you can think about ways you can give. Also your ties, your social connections. A lot of us do not know the people that we have in our network, let alone understand the type of social capital they are providing, like the value they are actually providing for us. We just know such and such got the hookup. So we're gonna call them when we need to call them. And so being more intentional with the relationships we currently have is critical. So if you think about what it is you're able to give, think about your ties, your connections, your time, your talent. I have a whole like 5T networking model that I walk people through, but think about those things that you can give and really understand who is currently in your network that you can help and support, knowing kind of the value that they serve in your network too.
Such value. Thank you for those. Yeah. Thank you for those. Such value. Everyone, if you're hearing this, I'm sure you got that information. Put value in the chat. So good. Thank you for that, Erika.
Yeah.
All right. Gift number 4. So how would you, by way of navigating your SHIP, the SHIP system, guide entrepreneurs or other professionals just in balancing like the consulting, the relationship management, and the personal development?
Yeah. So navigating your SHIP. So SHIP is an acronym. It derives from the word ship, but SHIP in itself is an acronym. So the S stands for self-awareness and discipline. H stands for honoring your values. I stands for identifying your tribe. And P stands for protecting your peace. So when I say I'm helping my clients navigate their SHIP, I help them go through the process of understanding whatever the concern, the issue, or just a roadblock may be in their journey. Have they actually navigated their SHIP appropriately? Because there may be an opportunity where maybe they were not standing in their truth and they couldn't really identify whether or not, hey, this is my truth, and I probably should have did this differently, and here's how I need to now pivot. Understanding yourself enough so that you can look at the habits that you've been doing, like how you move and how you do things, because then you can discover your patterns, because your patterns is really what gets to the point of discipline. And if you recognize that something that you're doing isn't serving you well, you now have to shift your habits. And your habits turns into that pattern so that you can become disciplined in it. And that's a really tough journey to, especially having our minds wired in such a way, especially like in corporate America. It's like certain things you got to go up the ladder and do these things. People in our generation want to come back down the ladder. They're like, I don't want to go up there. Can I just come back down? It's okay. Like, I don't want it. So understanding that, so helping them, that's the S piece of the ship. Then honoring your values. A lot of us don't even understand what we value. Sometimes on the top of the head, people will say, I love my family. So, my family is what I value. So that's love. Some people would say integrity, respect, and those are values. But think a bit deeper about how you actually show up, because the way in which you show up, it is attached to something you value. And our values are kind of buried in our heart, and how we move and operate in our lives comes from our heart.
Yes.
So how are you showing up? And it's all attached to your values. So really unpacking what your values are. And sometimes we may say our values could be a certain thing, but in actuality, we value something else. So again, goes back to a self-awareness piece of how am I really showing up? How am I standing in my truth? And then the I, which is identify your tribe. So when I was talking about who in your network is showing up a certain way and what kind of value are they adding to you, I think that everyone's network is in 3 categories. Category 1 would be your connectors. These are the people that got the hookup. Category number 2 would be your tribe. So let's just say you lost your job. You just got fired, wasn't expecting anything, or even a layoff. You wasn't expecting it. Who are you calling? Because you're not calling everybody in your network. It's a certain group of people that you are calling, because this group of people are the people that you can really tell the truth to. You probably have no judgment from them. They will probably tell you the honest to goodness truth. Like, this is your tribe. So really identifying your tribe. And then the third group would be your are those that's in your network that are influencers, those that have credibility. And these are the people that that you have a connection with, and that other people actually respect their thought leadership. Other people actually look to them as someone that can say, hey, that's my mentor from afar. And so they actually have a level of influence that provides the visibility or social capital that will be helpful for you to kind of move and navigate your journey. So I think now people can play in multiple areas, but those are kind of the 3 main groups. So with I in navigating your ship, identifying your tribe is so critical, because sometimes you do need to be resuscitated in your career. Sometimes you had a very bad business deal, and now you're trying to figure out how can you come up and get out of the red and be able to see and operate again. So who do you call to help you navigate such a hard and difficult time? So that is identifying your tribe. And then P is protecting your peace. Protecting your peace is so important, because it is essentially boundaries. And
big time.
Now boundaries have become a sexy term over the last, 5 to 7 years, but it was not a sexy term many years ago. And the way in which we've learned how to operate in corporate America, just in the work world period, talking about boundaries was never a thing. And so we essentially really kind of relinquished our own power to our employer. And we didn't have this sense of control over our own life. We didn't really have the level of autonomy that we should have just as adults and human beings that are working. We needed to have a certain title or status in order to have just autonomy over our own work. So understanding what's okay for you and what's not okay for you is extremely important, no matter what career level you may be in, because your boundaries is really there to protect you and to honor yourself. And if we are not honoring ourselves, if we're not standing in our truth at work, we spend too much. we spend too much time at work
Mm.
to be messing around, having people walk all over us,
Mm-hmm.
and really just getting burned out. And this also leads to people feeling devalued and really just
Well,
feeling like they're ignored,
yep,
you know?
that's
So, like, how can we get to a point where we can still protect our own mindset, like our peace of mind,
mm-hmm.
so that we can still operate in a world that is not operating and in a way where they are respecting people's boundaries. So
That,
we have to learn, and we have to be the force for ourselves. So we have to reclaim that power back and say what's okay and not okay for us, and then also be okay with some employers, having an issue with your boundaries and understanding like this is something that I know I need in my life. So an example is I remember when I was working in my HR career, I needed to work remote. Like I needed a very hybrid sort of environment. Now, this is before the pandemic, so you already know
oh
they
yeah.
were like no. um, but I remember saying that because I lived 30 minutes away
Mm.
from the place, and my children's school was near my house. My mother, who I take care of, lived closer to my house. So I just needed the flexibility if and when I needed to leave. If and when something happened and I needed to stay close. Not an everyday thing. I just needed the level of autonomy to be able to make the decision to say, today is that day, and I got to stay at home and work today. I'm not a fan of just working from home and not working, but as we all have found during the pandemic, people are working their butts off at home.
Mm.
So, and that would be me, but I never understood this level of I have to see you. You have to be working. People have, especially in HR, they're like, you're in HR. People have to see you. I was like, for me to sit in my office all day?
Yes.
Because there's been days where you wanted me to come into work and I'm just sitting in my office. Nobody came to me. I mean, there was work I needed to do, so I'm sitting in my office doing my work, but I also could have been at home,
That's right.
so it's those sort of things. And so being able to let them know up front, this is what's okay for me, this is what's not okay for me, even before taking a job, understand what they are expecting of you, because they need to understand what you expect of them too.
Yeah.
So being able to communicate that up front allows you to honor yourself and honor the responsibilities and those who you are responsible for. Because if you are a mom like me, if you're a caregiver like me, you got stuff to do.
Yeah.
So you have responsibilities. So that's how navigating the ship, and what I do with my clients. So it's not like a tool per se that I hand them, but it's more of like, let's pause and let's go through the ship, see if we're navigating our ship appropriately, because we could identify, maybe I should have set boundaries here. Maybe we can identify somebody that we need to talk to help us kind of get to the next point in our journey. And that's always very, very helpful. And so once we identify or navigate, I should say, our ship, we can pinpoint kind of the things that we need to take action on.
Yes. That's so important. People shy away when you say the word boundaries a lot of times, because they just feel like it's like a negative word or something. Like, oh, that's boundary.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be a negative
It's,
thing. It can be very positive.
it's very, very positive. And I wish that there was more talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with the level of awareness around mental health and well-being, I think that has helped have more conversations around boundaries. But all in all, it is something that is no longer an option. It's no longer a luxury.
Mm-hmm.
It is a must-have. It is a need
It
that
is.
we all should have, and it's not a bad thing. Because if you don't have boundaries, if everybody can tell you who you are, what you are, and narrate your story,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like, what if it's a lie and you just gonna go with it?
Exactly. And we'd
So
be
you
doing
have to be the one,
other.
right?
So
Like,
no.
you have to be the one saying what's okay, what's not okay, what's right, what's wrong for you, and be able to narrate your own story, because people will narrate your story if you let them.
Yes, they will.
So,
They will.
and I don't want that for anybody.
No. So do not let them. Y'all hear me? No.
For real.
That is so great. So great. All right. We're going to get to the last gift here. Gift
Okay.
number 5. This is actually a 2-part question. So I can come back to it if you forget what I've asked.
Okay.
But so with this question, what role does networking play in your approach to consulting? And how does like networking on purpose initiate like and encourage meaningful connections? And then the two parts of that about the networking on purpose is, are there any like networking companies or like businesses that you know of that could be shared today with our listeners to possibly that they can collaborate with even in future?
Okay, so yeah, that's a lot. Okay, so let's back up. So the first part was, how does networking play a part of my business?
Yeah, approaching with networking on purpose. How does it
Okay.
encourage like meaningful connections?
Okay.
Networking.
So networking for me and how it rolls into my business, before I get to networking on purpose, it is critical because one, I'm a networking strategist. So I help people figure this thing out called networking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order for me to help people, not only do I need to study, have my own experience, etc., to be able to accommodate and support my clients, but it is essential to what I do. Furthermore, I'm an entrepreneur. We better be out here networking because how else are we doing the thing that we trying to do in this world? You know, if I already did step one, I'm betting on myself. So step two is I need to talk to some people to help me. So yeah, so it's like critical. Like it's not something that's an add-on for me.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that is like woven into what I must do as an entrepreneur. So that's how it kind of shows up from a business standpoint, but from a networking on purpose standpoint, and kind of how that is all kind of played together. So when I started networking on purpose, the first part of it was because my clients needed a safe space to be able to be themselves and network. And then the second part of networking on purpose is the for purpose. So I honor a nonprofit every month for networking on purpose. And it's solely for the purpose of for that organization to be able to get in front of an audience who essentially are there to give. Like they are there showing up in the same way. Like, I don't know what I'm expecting from networking on purpose, but I'm gonna learn today. Oh, what do you know? And this is what I need help with. Like genuinely having conversations and genuinely wanting to help people. And
Yeah.
so I want that nonprofit organization to take advantage of that opportunity to be able to share their program initiatives and be able to connect with people who actually are excited about what they are doing with the organization and how they're impacting the community. So, bringing that all together, it's about networking on purpose. It's all about being
Yeah.
intentional with your time and your talent and the gifts that you have. And so, with how all that operates and how all that works. Like I said before, networking is more about giving than it is receiving.
That's right.
So being able to set people up and position them so that they can be successful, so that they can grow. Like people have attended networking on purpose and connected with the nonprofit organization, and now they're board members,
Mm-hmm.
now they're volunteers, now they're donors where they're giving for real their money
Right.
and really attached to the organization. And so it's that dot that I'm trying to connect. So I take a very philanthropic approach to networking because it's not just give. How I'm gonna connect this person with card, how many connections I made on LinkedIn. Like if that's the type of networking you're trying to do, I may not be the right coach for you. So, because we're gonna do some work and we're really gonna figure this thing out because it's all about intentionality and strategy.
Yeah.
And we have to be intentional with this stuff because these aren't just numbers we're trying to just put together. These are people that you're
That's
trying
right.
to connect with. Everybody is different. And networking is not cookie cutter. And so you can Google, templates on how to do your elevator pitch. You can Google kind of the best things you should go to networking events with. You can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you may find yourself struggling because that particular template, that particular article wasn't for you
Yeah.
and all of you. It may be one thing and you like, oh, I can do that. That works for me. Great. That's why Google exists.
That,
But understand, right? Understand like, hey, we really need to be more intentional because the more I would say you progress in your career, in your business, you're going to recognize that you need social capital. You need people and relationships, especially in corporate when you are getting to that executive level.
mm-hmm.
It's more about the people that you know that really help strengthen your executive presence and your ability to be able to be in certain roles or in certain rooms.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that.
Yep.
And it's just like, so what do you mean it's about my network and who I know? When you hear the term your network is your net worth, this is what they're talking about. Like, if I make this person an executive of this nonprofit organization, if they got all these relationships, we may want this person on our team.
That's
because they know some people that, and they have the relationship where they can really be able to engage them in our organization. Do not think for 1 second that is not considered in any executive role.
Absolutely is.
So it's that piece that we aren't taught. So there's no level of importance or value placed on that. And so it pushes us or put us in a position where it's like we already are at an unfair advantage when we are not put in position to be able to build the necessary and effective relationships and understand the rationale and reason why.
Yeah.
So I know that was the first two questions. Now, what were the other two questions?
No, actually, you went into networking on purpose and everything. So that cleared it up.
I was thinking to myself, like, I think there was one more question I didn't answer it.
Yep. Well, the last one was with the networking companies. Are there any that you could share that to the listeners that they can collaborate with?
Collaborate with? Yeah. So the Erika Monaé Group, we help our clients unlock the potential in their strengths and leverage their relationships so that they can kill it at networking, so that they can understand more about themselves and they can articulate that value. And whether it is in networking or even a job interview, many of us have had job interviews and we have the question that annoys most of us, which is, so why should we hire you?
Right.
And now you're sitting here like, now I got to figure out something real quick and savvy to say, something that sounds real sexy, so they can remember me. So then you're putting all this pressure on yourself to answer this question so it sounds good and make it memorable. So like, I need people to understand it's about the way in which you articulate the value that you add that gets you that job, that gets you that connection. Because it's the perceived value of that people walk away with, like, that's what I want on my team.
Yes. So good.
You have to be able to articulate that. You can blow people away in an interview. Don't lie, by the way. I'm not saying gas people up and lie about stuff. That is not what I'm saying.
That
at all. But what I'm saying is, once you understand what makes you you and how you've been able to add value to others, how you've been able to change the game and turn things around and make them better. Like, when you do the work to understand yourself enough to see, like, oh, that's how I've been able to do it, it makes it much easier to talk about.
Okay.
So whether it's networking, whether it's a job interview, or doing things at your church, whatever it may be, you're able to have more confidence. And confidence is the fluff term that people say, like, okay, that's just confidence, but what is that rooted in? And for me, I help my clients become more aware of who they are, their talents, and be able to articulate the value of that, and then become more prepared. Because sometimes we just don't have the strategy and the tools or framework to be able to be successful. So it's not a cookie cutter thing. So that's why you should definitely hire me as your coach to help you walk through that. So that's the organization, that's the company that I say you should partner with when it comes to this stuff.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much for all of this wisdom. I appreciate you.
Thank you
so much.
I appreciate you.
So grateful.
I appreciate
you
hounding me. You're like, ma'am, are you where are you at? I appreciate you hounding me, because it just out of nowhere, the time is August.
That follow-up person, let me tell you.
Listen, August got here too quick. It did.
So I am so grateful to have had Erika Monaé Lewis as our special guest today. So Erika, is there any key thing or nugget that you'd like to give our audience here? Anything else tell us one more time how to get in touch with you as well?
Yes. So you can get in touch with me. I am on LinkedIn, I am on Instagram, and I am on Facebook. So please follow me and share with anyone that you feel would benefit from this type of support that they may need in navigating their careers or navigating their entrepreneurial journey. And I also can be reached, you can email me too. Contact us at erikamonaegroup.com. So that's ErikaMonae group.com. Contact us at erikamonaegroup.com. But what I would leave everybody with is be you, be kind, shine. Be you. I want you to show up in this world as your authentic self. Be able to know who you are and stand in your truth.
Yeah.
Be kind, not only to others, but be kind to ourselves, because we can be so hard on ourselves and very, very critical. So be kind to yourself. So once you're able to be you and be kind, you will shine a light in this world that is desperately needed, as it'll give others permission to do the exact same thing. So if we be kind to ourselves, if we can show up authentically ourselves, others will say, I want to do that too. She seems free. You know what? He seems light today. Like, so we want to be able to shine that in this world, because it's needed.
Yes, it is. Amen. Let me tell you. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you.
Yes, thank you.
You could actually, everyone, value. I know you got some value. Put value in the chat. Thank her for being here. Appreciate her so very much. So very much. So you can remove yourself, or I could try to do it. Either way.
Well, bye everybody.
Stay
Thank
on,
you
come
so
back
much.
on, whatever you gotta do.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. Enjoy your long weekend.
Yes,
and
you too.
I will talk to you sooner than later. Bye everybody.
Bye. All right, you guys. You know I'm gonna continue. All right. Wasn't she amazing? She is so amazing. Again, I've known her for so very long, so many years. So I was like, we got to connect. You need to come on the podcast. So I'm so grateful for her. So let's just remember to follow and put to action Erika Monaé Lewis's wise suggestions that we heard today. Okay. But also, here are 5 of my own giftful and actionable tips for the consulting and building meaningful relationships for you today. All right. So gift number 1, building relationships rooted in trust and integrity. What do I mean by that? Consulting isn't just about like delivering results. It's about building relationships, just like Erika mentioned, right? So trust and integrity are the cornerstone of these relationships. You know, I'm very big with the integrity piece, right? So clients just need to know that they can count on you for the most part, and that it's not just your expertise, but it's your honesty within yourself, right? Your reliability and your commitment to their success. So just always follow through on your promises. I tell my 2 kids, I'm like, if you don't have your integrity, you don't have anything. All right. If people cannot trust you with what you're saying, and you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it, not a good look. So always keep that in mind, right? Even small actions like responding to emails, just and doing it promptly, by the way, or just being punctual for like meetings or things. These are things that will build the trust over time for people to stay, in connection with you and things like that. People need and want that. They want a genuine person. All right. So just remember, relationships are the lifeblood of your business and your journey overall. All right. So investing in them with integrity is investing in your long-term success. That's the key thing that you get from this. All right. So gift number 2 is aligning your work with your values. So consulting with purpose means, for me, is aligning your work with your core values and just ensuring that like every client interaction reflects those actual values. Kind of like Erika had mentioned about the values and things, and you just kind of owning up to it, right? So your purpose is your actual compass. Keep that in mind and just stay true to it. I mean, I know it sounds easier than done, but if you're just being yourself, you're going to be true to yourself and to it, right? So you'll find that the right opportunities and clients will naturally just gravitate to you by doing these things. Keep it in mind. All right. And then gift number 3, the power of active listening. Active listening, you guys, is the most just underrated skill, okay, that people just don't do. They don't listen half the time, right? But when you listen with intention, that's the key thing. You don't just solve problems, but you create partnerships by simply just listening. How easy is that? All right. So, gift number 4 is balancing professionalism with authenticity. So, what do I mean by that? Many people struggle with this. Let me tell you. While it's important to maintain just like a level of professionalism, authenticity is what connects you with just like on a human level for the most part. And then that way, clients or customers, whatever you call them, they appreciate who you really are and that you're being relatable to them. And that's all that anybody wants for the most part. Just be relatable. All right. And as well as transparent about their actual journey as well as your own journey. Be very transparent about that. Know that authenticity breeds trust. If you don't have trust, again, you're doomed. Let me just tell you. And you know, I'm a positive person, but I'm just keeping it real with you. So trust is the foundation of any meaningful relationship. Again, throughout your entire journey as an entrepreneur, as a parent, whoever you are, whatever you're in and whatever you're doing and throughout your business, it's very key. Keep that in mind. All right. So, you know, I like to give a challenge today. And this is actually, I don't know if everybody knows of this gentleman, but I call him my pastor, you guys. So this is by Pastor Keon Henderson. All right. If you've heard of him. And this is what I got from him recently when I was listening to his stuff, is pretty much ask yourself these 3 things. All right. This is the challenge. Number 1, am I doing what I was created to do? All right. And here's a hint to that. You will know if it's something you get to do, not something you have to do. Think about that. If you feel like, man, I get to do this, then clearly that's what you're created to do. But if you're in things and you're doing things and you're asking yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this, well, then that ain't for you and you need to move along. Let me tell you. All right. So that's the first one. And then number 2 is ask yourself, can I say consistently before God or whatever your higher power may be, that I gave it my all to what I'm supposed to be doing? All right. And then the third question is, what changes do you need to do in life in order to do what I was created to do? Right? That's what you need to ask. And here's some examples of that one for the third one. Make time management changes, make better versus bad diet choices and or health decisions for yourself, obviously, and or even make money adjustments. That's a huge one. That right there is a great need and a change for many of us, okay? So lastly, for all 3 of these questions, say it to yourself. I've done well, but then ask yourself, but have I earned a well done? Right? That's a whole different mindset. But I'm telling you, when you pose those questions to yourself like that, you're going to see some eye-awakening things for yourself. And it's going to help you to prosper and to move along in an upward position, which is what we want. All right. So all that said, remember, everything behind you must be forgotten to get to the top for the most part. All right. I'm saying that for myself as well. Let me tell you. So it's time to just move on. Move on. Don't dwell with different things of your past accomplishments, because your past accomplishments won't free you from frustrations. Let me tell you firsthand, it won't help. All right. And yesterday's victory won't prepare you for tomorrow. Know that. So kudos to you for all the great things that you've done, as well as to myself. But you know what? It won't prepare you for victory tomorrow. So just let's keep going. Move on, right? Just move on. All right. So as we wrap this episode up, and thank you so very much again for being on. I appreciate you all. I want to remind you that consulting with a purpose is pretty much about much more than just providing expert advice, right? So it's about uplifting strengths, building relationships that last. That's the key thing. And just staying true to your values. So when you consult with purpose, you're not only like transforming businesses, but you're also transforming lives. Who doesn't want to transform lives, right? So as always, thank you guys. I am so grateful once again for you tuning in to this episode of the Faith Forward Fearlessly podcast. Don't forget to continue following me and to listen to me and to come on to these lives for ongoing and inspiring content. Remember to live boldly, lead with faith, and always, always pursue just things on purpose with passion. All right. I'm Jenée Hudson, the Uplifter. And until next time, have a blessed day and a prosperous year on purpose. See you next time. Bye.